Thank you so much for joining us today. We are really excited to share this virtual premiere. Many of you might have been at SciFam. If you were there at SciFam for the patient-focused drug development meeting, you might have seen this film there, but we haven't shown it publicly since. So this is a great day for us to share it with everyone. And it is in conjunction with our 15th anniversary. So Cure CMD, as of yesterday, as of May 19th, is 15 years old, which is crazy to me, probably crazier for Rachel, who's been here since the beginning. And, we've achieved so much together in 15 years. And I just want to say thank you to everybody. I'm so honored to be part of the organization and to just know people in the community. And it's been such a pleasure to be working alongside you in the efforts to advance research and provide support for the community. So thanks to everybody for being here today. And we'll do a talk back after. We'll have fantastic people here that you see on your screen and the filmmakers. And we're so happy to have you here.
There's no accounting for the tenacity of hope. There's no medical measure for that.
Big, huge applause for the movie. I've seen it several times, and each time I'm just glued to the screen. So, yeah, I just want to say thank you again to everyone who was part of the film. It's so amazing to watch. And Rachel, I think I might be wrong, but I think this was one of your 2 a.m. ideas. Yes, yeah. Rachel has 2 a.m. ideas, and they end up really incredible. So I wanted to have a little talk back now. And to everyone watching, I'd love for you, as we're talking, because I'm going to just chat with the stars of the film and the filmmakers, and then open it up for questions. But just to pose a question to you now, which is, what struck you about the film? Like, was there a part that really spoke to you, something that you're going to really remember, as you're going about your day today? I welcome all our panelists to unmute, and maybe can we just introduce ourselves really quick? So I'll start, and then I'll popcorn it to somebody, and then we'll just do it that way. So my name is Terry Selecki. I work on grants and PR for Cure CMD. I've been consulting with the organization since the end of 2015. I'm so happy to be here. And I will pop it over to Rob.
Thanks, Terry. I was blindsided me.
Sorry.
Hey, this is Rob Sunrith. I'm president of the board of Cure CMD. I also have a daughter with college in 6. And really was excited to participate in this event, and glad all of you are here to get a view of the film. Thank you all for joining. And let me pass it over to one of the stars here, Joe.
Oh, thanks, Rob. Hey, I'm Joe. My daughter Chloe's 4 years old. She has Cal 6. We're really excited to be part of the film, and what an awesome way the movie turned out. So yeah, I'll turn it over to Phil, one of the creators.
Thanks, Joe. Good to see you, everyone. And my name's Phil Torin, and I work with Living in the Light, which was a big shift for me. I'd been working in video production for years, and then decided that working with Living in the Light was the type of work that was most meaningful and gave me most purpose. And that is that and I'll let Levi talk more about this, but we work exclusively with rare disease in the rare disease community. I did most of the filming on this particular film and all of the editing. And then there's just so many other people involved in this that that I'll leave it at that. But yeah, thank you. Should I pass it to Mark while you run? It looks like you're on the move. Okay.
I'm going to pass to me because I'm Mark Bear. I had the joy of being in this film as well with my star daughter Bella and my wife Jessica, plus the other two, David and Amelia. And Bella's actually batting at an adaptive baseball game right now. So I'm outside watching her. I don't know if you guys can see. She's like at bat. Can you guys see through the fence?
Oh yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah. So she's about to.
Awesome.
Excellent.
So she's about to bat. So yes. So Jess will join me in a second, but she's just watching Bella bat at this baseball game. I don't know who's left to kick it over to. Gus? Everyone knows Gus, I think.
I think Gus is on the panel. Yeah, he's not on the. We excluded him.
Oh, him. Hold on.
Gus is here. We're elevating him to panelist right now.
Oh, hello. Can you
Hi,
hear
Gus.
me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm Gustavo Diaz-Czapolski, Scientific Director at QCMD, and happy to be part of this film capturing the stories of the affected families that is so important to us and for development treatments.
Maybe
So yeah, I can pass it to Luke.
Hi, everyone. I'm Luke Hoban. I'm 27. I was asked to participate in this project and I was really excited to do so as a affected individual, someone that can, I can share my story a little bit. I've been around the block for a while, but just to, share some of the things that I've gone through and be hopefully one of many examples of people that have been through the ringer a little bit and, share my story. And I'll popcorn to Kimberly.
Hi, I'm Kim. This is Bryson. So I'm in the film. He is 6 with QM21. We're outside of his sister's softball game right now, so that's why he's squinting and moving around. Levi?
Thanks, Kim. It's great to see you guys. And all of you. I'm Levi Gershkowitz. I'm the director of the film and run a company called Living in the Light. We're the ones that were hired to create the film for Cure CMD. But really that was with Cure CMD. We have worked collaboratively with this community, I think now for 5 or 6 years. And for those that aren't familiar, Living in the Light is a pretty unique company in that we focus on the experiences of families and affected individuals living with rare diseases or different inherited conditions in order to elevate experiences and stories to make sure that members of the research side of things and biotech side of things really have an understanding of who people are as people as opposed to as patients. And I think films like this are proof that we're very much achieving what our goals are. And was amazing to work on this film and really exciting to see many of you here on the panel. And I think I'll pass it to Lindsay.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lindsay Curley. I apologize for the horrific voice today, but we were just so excited. My son, Finn, we were excited to represent the Selenon community. It was an amazing experience to be able to tell our story. Thank you to Levi and Phil for making us feel so comfortable telling that story, because sometimes it can be a little awkward to talk about oneself. But it was just wonderful to be able to showcase Finn and hopefully just bring some awareness to Selenon.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Hello, everybody. I'm Andy Mantione, and in my role at Cure CMD, I'm the Director of Individual and Corporate Giving. So what I do is I help people figure out the best way to structure gifts to the organization. It's the best role that I can think of, because everybody that I'm working with wants to help in some way or another. And that can be as simple as just writing a check to Cure CMD to support a specific research or programming in a specific subtype, or more complicated types of gifts. I never stop being inspired when I talk with the families that are involved. I'd be interested to hear from anybody. From what Levi said, for every minute of actual film that you see, there's probably almost an hour or so of film that doesn't make it on there. If there was a part that you didn't see that you really think would be important for everybody else to see, if you could talk about that, I think it would be really helpful.
Rob, I'm calling on you.
Thanks, Rachel. You guys always do this to me. I think an interesting question, Andy. I think from my perspective, I'm both a parent and was representing the Cure CMD at the time. So I was much more in the Cure CMD seat during the filming and during the process. And I just think that the highlight on my side was getting a chance to meet several other families. I met Joe and Ellen and their family, Lindsay and Ronnie and the Curleys, and just being able to hear their stories, what was going on with their children, and being able to help film. I even held the camera. Phil, you didn't give me credit, but I got to hold the camera and help them for a little while.
Sorry, Rob.
Okay, you're good. I'm joking. But it was
I did use the shot. I used the shots that you took too.
Yeah, but it was just being a part of it and hearing the stories from the Curleys and the Cokes and everybody was both inspiring to me. Really appreciate everything that went into it.
I mean, for me, actually, I loved getting to interact with all the families and we spent like almost a whole weekend together with other families and with Phil and Levi and the whole crew. And that was really great to just like have so much time with other families. Because honestly, we're always kind of busy with kids and stuff like that. And, we have another affected individual now, and we don't get to see them nearly enough because they live like a little bit further away from us. And it was great to do that. And I also, in watching the film, like the first time I watched the film, I was really like heartstruck by hearing Rachel's take on her upbringing and interactions with her parents, and then also hearing the physicians talk about the families. When we go and meet with physicians at the hospital, it's very hospital-like, the conversations that we have often, and hearing their thoughts about their feelings about the families, how they're doing, how they manage the care and support for their kids. I don't know, something I hadn't really heard that side from them before, and I thought that was a really, really interesting perspective.
So Phil or Levi, if there were one segment that you weren't able to include just because of time constraints, but could add it on now, if you could talk about what that would be and why, I think that would be great.
I think if it's a particular segment, Phil's probably the best one to answer because he's so steeped in all the editing. But what is different about this film as to the approach we generally take, which was hard for me, and many of you probably noticed, is we didn't get to go into as great of depth and profile each of you and your families and the kids. What we really tried to do was elevate the aspects of the interviews that were coherent with each other and talking about themes. So there were some very thematic conversations that carried a thread throughout the piece. And I think that gave a lot of strength to what is, we were calling in the film patient voice, but the collective voice. And even though that was great for the purposes of the film, I missed going into greater depth about each of you and your families, and what some of your interests are and how you spend your days. And for some, we got to do that. I think, for example, for Liam, like we kind of went in depth to talking about his work and some of the adaptive technology that helps him with his work. Luke got to talk a little bit about hockey However, for some of the younger kids, we didn't really get to talk about what you guys love and enjoy. And that was hard for me, but that was definitely due to time constraint. We really wanted to show and not tell, and to stay with some of the main themes of the piece. And then the one thing that isn't part of the film, and we didn't get to film, but I would be really excited to one day, is to actually get into the lab, and see, to show some of the research that's taking place, especially in some of the labs where folks with CMDs are leading that research. To me, that would be something very exciting to see, and maybe an important aspect to kind of bring full circle. But I think projects like this, our hope is, we filmed this last year in 2022. Our hope is that in the coming years, we see some real breakthroughs in the types of technologies and therefore therapies that may be available. And we may have an opportunity to ask some very different questions. So there's always room for more in the future, especially as things evolve and more possibilities open up. But yeah, I think it's a really great question. And yeah, there's always a different version possible. So hats off to Phil, who chose from all those possibilities, and did so kind of in adherence with, I think, what was some very clear visioning from Rachel and other folks at Cure CMD, because that helps a lot when making a film. It really helps to know who we're trying to reach and what we're trying to say, because there's nearly infinite possibilities of how it can be spliced together.
Yeah, I would say it's a really difficult question. And I don't think, like, I'm really thinking hard of what segments I would have kept in. And like Levi said, it did have a very specific purpose for when it was first shown and to the audience that it was first shown to. Some of the people in the room being, FDA and but also families. But yeah, and again, I don't want to repeat too much, but I think that really some of the individual stories about Luke and Liam and some of the stuff that I sort of had to remove in the very, very, very first cut that I ever showed to anybody began with Finn, and it began with the younger kids just really showing their innocence and their cuteness and like their just being young. Like for me, it was an important thing to kind of bring people into the world of it kind of was like an easy way to get people to pay attention and to get people to start to feel emotional by seeing younger children with living with CMD. And so that was the original piece that I maybe would have put in. But that being said, and I'll try to keep this brief, I'm in love with the film, having worked so hard on it and worked so carefully on it, that I don't know that I would change anything. I think the stuff that's in there is I can confidently say the absolute best stuff. I don't feel like anything was left out that needed to be in.
That's great. Thank you all. It's super interesting. I do think that this community has the cutest kids ever. There's so many adorable children. And Luke, you too. And Rachel. So I think, Christina, is your hand raised? I wanted to, I don't know if I'm able to unmute, but if you have a question, I'd love for us to answer your question.
Hello, community.
Hi.
Hi, community. Can you see me?
We can't see you, but we can hear you.
Okay, you can hear me. Well, I would like to say hello to all the CMD community, especially to Dr. Gustavo. I'm Christina from Portugal. We were together in the Lama 2 in Barcelona. I
remember you, yes.
Yes, so nice to see you again. Rachel Alvarez, it's a pleasure to meet you too. Thank you all for your work on this project. Thank you for the movie. It was well, I'm from Portugal, and I'm a mother of a 4-year-old boy who has LAMA2 muscular dystrophy. And I felt so represented, and I connected totally with all the testimonials of these families in the USA. Greetings also to Dr. Regan that took place in the video, and just to say a big thank you, because you are the well, the reason, and you are proving that I'm in the right path, and that I'm doing a great job for my son and for myself and for my family and for all the LAMA2 Portugal community. Because of my experience in Barcelona with Dr. Gustavo and Dr. Regan and other scientific community, I could be able to know other patients with LAMA2, older patients also, 40-year-old patients, a 30-year-old patient. And for me as a mother, it gave me so much hope and so much relief. And now I can say from the bottom of my heart that I'm happy and I'm okay with that. We live with the congenital muscular dystrophy with we live the normal life possible. We don't dramatize it, we don't fear, but you bring us hope. And that's the thing that that is the big transformation for me. Thank you all so much for this inspiring experience. And that's all. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Terry, for the opportunity to talk to you.
Of course, of course. Happy to have you here today.
It's a pleasure.
I think it's such a great point of what Christina said about living a life without fear and drama. I think that's something we can all learn. So I had another question. Certainly, if anyone has questions for our panelists, please raise your hand or write your question in the chat. We'd love to hear from you and continue the conversation. And I'll give a last call for names. If you have not entered your name for the giveaway, please enter your first name and last initial into the chat now, because we'll be doing those giveaways in a few minutes here. But a question I have for the panelists, what would you like for people to take away from the film, if anything, whether it's, an experience or, getting together, like what that felt like. You want people to take away information. Just curious if you have, if there's one thing that people walk away with.
Terry, I'll take a shot.
Sure.
Yeah, and this kind of builds off of what Christina talked about. And I think it's one of the intents of making a film like this is the connectivity within the community. When you I remember with my daughter, right, when she was first diagnosed, it was still just very generic. We didn't know her specific subtype. And as we got to meet more kids and families with muscular dystrophy, it helped just dramatically as a family to understand, oh, we're not the only ones going through this. You know, there's a lot of other people out here. And then when I first met people within the CMD community at an advocacy event, it was like, oh my gosh, somebody actually, their kid has collagen 6. They know what I'm going through. Just all those connections through those meetings. And we have a great social media, presence, a lot of, people contacting on Facebook, et cetera. But when you can see a video like this and, virtually be into people's homes, hear their stories, I think that helps a lot of people connect and know that there's a broader community out there than just themselves.
Hey, I would say a couple things too, and depending on who the recipient watching the video is. For example, like my family and people's families who are affected by this, as Christina from Portugal said, I think it gives a lot of us hope for things to come in the future. Seeing, I have my Chloe's 4, she want to pop on and say hello, but seeing some of the kids in here and then adults that are older than her kind of doing pretty well in the community itself is very hopeful. And then I think for people that aren't affected or extended family to kind of just see what it really is, because it's hard to say to someone what you're doing every day. And also, honestly, a lot of it is you don't really want to always talk about bad news with someone you don't really know that well. It's like, oh, it's not, how was your day? Oh, it wasn't great. She fell X amount of times and she has a spinal curve and stuff like that. But those are really things you bring up and, hey, how's it going? I haven't seen you in a while. Yeah, great. You don't want to bring that up, but a video like this can kind of share what families like us go through on the day-to-day, is trying to live like as most normal life as we can as well.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, I felt that too. I felt when I'm watching it, it's like I'm really, it's the most I can understand what the experience is to live with CMD without being in someone's home or having it in my home or having it myself. And at the same time, there's like, it's not just the CMD. I'm seeing people's lives. Like Bella's like, you're not going to tell me how to play, it's like, she's such a boss, I love that in like the most amazing positive way. She's like owning her stuff. And, it's just, I don't know. It was such a beautiful portrait of these families in the film. So.
Yeah, boss is one word for it for sure, Terry. No, I agree with what you guys are saying. I think it was a really great message to send to the FDA and other people that are researching or funding or thinking of funding these diseases. But then also like the amount of times we get a question from our friends like, how's it going? How's Bella going? And we very rarely get into all the detail about what's happening and what it's like to be in this situation. And I think this film probably does the best job of representing like what life is like for us, for affected individuals that we've done. And it's it's not a short video, but I think if people really want to know, it's a really great way for them to kind of get a better sense of what life is like and what the journey is like.
Yeah, you make a good point. I think as an asset beyond what its original intent was for the FDA meeting is that newly diagnosed families who are like tongue-tied, when your family's like, how can I help? I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. Like, this is a great way for them to say, watch this movie and then let's talk, right? Something that kind of opens some doors to some conversations that you don't really know how to start.
There was a video like that on the QSMD homepage, I think, when we first got a diagnosis. That was a bit old at the time, but it was just like we're reading text and seeing pictures is not as illustrative as seeing something like this. And so I think that's really huge for people that just have no idea. They just want to find out a little bit more about what they can expect or just even see some families, see some other kids.
Lindsay, is your voice holding up? Do you have something to add? I see a lot of this resonating in your face.
I mean, for Selenon, especially as many times as someone who we try to say, talk about Finn's condition, and they say, oh, well, he looks just so normal, right? So this for us was just a wonderful way to talk in depth about what our day-to-day life is really like, right? And how hard he works to navigate his condition and persists and perseveres. I hope that also anyone watching takes away the courage it took for all of us to advocate for each of our subtypes. And I hope that each of our subtypes are proud of how we represented us. And I hope that this video really starts to invoke some change, right? By getting our voices out there, by being heard. This is just a great mechanism to be able to show people why we need help and we need funding and we need to rise to the top. So I just applaud all of us and taking the time and the effort, and Rachel, you giving us this opportunity. So thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay. There is a Living in the Light exhibit in Manhattan for the month of June, most of the month of June. Levi, if you want to pop in for a minute and say anything about the event, please do. But I can say it's going to be a really gorgeous exhibit at a space called Positive Exposure. And the opening weekend is June 3rd and 4th. So if you're in the area or want to travel over, we would love to have you. Let us know. And the information is also on our website. Andy, I know we chatted about you popping in for a second to say anything. Did you want to say anything? Or do you feel like you had a chance to share about you? I don't know if everyone has met Andy. He's the newest position at CureCMD, and he started last year.
It's really kind of inspiring to be associated with this organization and to watch how the families do what they do and how they kind of gather around each other to share strength and draw strength. My role really is development, and I spend a lot of time working with folks trying to figure out the best way for them to have the kind of impact that they want to. It could be, as I said before, anything from just writing a simple check to support programming or research in any of the subtypes. But what I find, excuse me, is that people have a lot of preconceptions about what they can or can't do to support the organization. And usually when we take a little bit of time to talk in depth, folks realize that there are ways that they were never even aware of, that they can support CureCMD and really make an impact. It's really a great organization to be a part of. But as I said before, everybody that I'm working with wants to help in one way or another. So over the course of the 15 years that we've been in existence, a lot of programming has taken place. We've supported millions of dollars in research, and that comes from a lot of sources, but many of those sources are our supporters. We work with them to help them figure out the best way to make a gift that benefits them and will benefit CureCMD. We need those resources to continue the work that we're doing. So I'm happy to work with our donors and their advisors so that we can structure the gifts that will bring us to where we want to be. So we need folks' help, and we're happy to work with them.
Thanks, Andy. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Thanks for being a part of today. Happy anniversary, CureCMD. Congratulations to everyone on this gorgeous film that is the communities now. So thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you online.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Terry.
Yes,
Great to
thank
see you all.
Bye.
You.
Thanks, everyone.